Hello everyone, this is Shantanu Bosle and welcome you all in Curious Academy. And our today's topic is desertification and land degradation. And this topic is important to UPSC mains for subject geography and disaster management. The silent erosion, a story of land and life. Once upon a time, the land was bountiful, covered in lush vegetation, flowing rivers, and rich soil that fed both man and beast. But as years passed, this harmony began to fade. In many parts of the world, and especially in a land as vast and diverse as India, something quiet but deeply troubling began to unfold. The land was started losing its strength. This wasn't just the occasional drought or a bad harvest, it was a deeper, more permanent wound. This process, known as land degradation, began to eat away at the very foundation of life. The soil lost its richness, water became scarce, and vegetation began to disappear, whether from overfarming, deforestation, or careless development. Human actions played a large role, and so did the unpredictable shifts in climate. In the drier regions, the arid, semi arid, and dry subhumid zones, the damage took a more severe form. The United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification gave it a name, desertification, a type of land degradation specific to these fragile zones. In India, its varied geography was not spared. Over time, nearly 30% of its land, about 97.85 million hectares, started showing signs of desertification. From the sands of Rajasthan to once productive farmlands across the Deccan Plateau and central India, the land began to crack, dry, and lose its vitality. This is not just a story of disappearing greenery, it is a story of livelihoods threatened, farmers struggling, and ecosystem breaking down. Yet, knowing this story is the first step towards rewriting its ending with restoration, sustainable practices, and collective action. When the land whispered warnings. Long ago, the Indian landscape thrived, forests rustled with life, rivers nourished the soil, and farmers sowed with hope. But slowly, the balance began to tip. Forests, once sprawling and green, were cut down, not just by access, but by ambition. From 1951 to 1972, 3.4 million hectares vanished to make way for farms, cities, roads, and factories. In the fields, the promise of high yields led to overuse of fertilizers and pesticides, especially in Punjab and Haryana. The soil, once rich, grew tired and lifeless. Over irrigation brought its own curse. Waterlogged lands and salty soils now stretch across 30 million hectares. Then came the sky's betrayal. Climate change arrived like a silent thief. Droughts, like the one in Marathwada in 2023, left field cracked and dry. Elsewhere, floods, like those in Kerala in 2018, swept away precious topsoil, laying waste to years of care. India's swelling population, now over 1.4 billion, press harder on the land. Forests and grasslands were flattened for more crops. Cities grew, sprawling into fertile lands. Concrete replaced earth. Runoff and erosion increased as the soil lost its sponge-like strength. Elsewhere, grazing animals thrived, vegetation bare, monocropping robbed soil diversity, and rain poured on mismanaged lands, washing it all away. In the Indo-Gangetic plains, large dams led to stagnant water and salinity, turning promise into poison. Factories dumped their waste, soaking the earth with toxins. Poor water harvesting and mismanaged watersheds left the ground thirsty and cracked. And so, across the nation, the land began to whisper, a quiet plea for balance, for care, for healing, before the silence becomes permanent. These are the impacts of desertification and land degradation in India. 1. Decline in agricultural productivity and food security. 2. Increased rural poverty and livelihood stress. 3. Biodiversity loss and ecosystem collapse. 4. Water security and groundwater depletion. 5th. Climate change acceleration. 6. Increased risks of natural disasters. Government interventions to combat desertification and land degradation in India. As the land grew weary and the skies turned uncertain, the nation knew it couldn't stand by. The government began stitching together a plan, a promise to heal what was breaking. In 2023, India renewed its commitment through the National Action Plan to Combat Desertification (NAP), aligning it with global goals. The mission was bold: restore 26 million hectares of degraded land by 2030, working towards land degradation neutrality under Sustainable Development Goal 15.3. To fuel this effort, the Campa Fund stepped in, a lifeline drawn from industries that had once cut down trees. These funds were now being used to plant new forests, restore wildlife habits, and revive mined and damaged landscapes. Side by side ran the National Afforestation Program, a people powered movement through joint forest management committees. Villagers, forest officials, and communities came together to restore, reforest degraded lands using traditional wisdom and sustainable practices. Together, these efforts marked a new chapter, a story of revival where the land, once wounded, begins to breathe again. Challenges in combating desertification and land degradation in India. In the heart of system, too many hands pull in different directions. Ministries like Environment, Agriculture, Rural Development, and Jal Shakti launch their own schemes, yet often without coordination. Afforestation efforts under Campa, the Green India Mission, and Manrega clash with overlapping goals and scattered data. On the ground, communities, once protectors of the forest, now stand sidelined. In states like Bihar and Madhya Pradesh, forest committees and panchayats lack support, tools, and incentives. Promises of shared forest revenue or ecotourism earnings are delayed or unclear, leaving villagers disengaged. Meanwhile, invasive species like Prosopis juliflora and Lantana camara creep silently across Rajasthan and Karnataka, choking native life and making it hard for natural forests to bounce back. Worse still, we don't always know what's happening on the ground. While satellite data like Desertification Atlas exists, it's outdated or too broad. Field checks and audits are rare, and local level data is missing. Finally, money and attention drift elsewhere. Most land restored funds came from the center, which stayed slow to match. And when budgets are tight, restoring land takes a backseat to building roads and cities. And so, while the intent is strong, India war against desertification still awaits for sharper tools, stronger unity, and deeper roots in the peoples it depends on. Way forward. India stands at a turning point. The land is weary, but hope is not lost. A new path is being charted, on one that listens to both science and soil. The first step, bringing scattered efforts under one roof. Instead of separate programs working in silos, a unified restoration mission is envisioned, merging Campa, Green India Mission, PMKSY, and Manrega. With GIS based maps from ISRO's Desertification Atlas, district level planning can now be precise and targeted. Communities once left out must now lead the way. Tribal and rural groups could earn from carbon credits, forest produce markets, and ecosystem services. Women led SHGs would nurture nurseries, build fodder banks, and heal the soil, becoming eco entrepreneurs in their own right. In the fields, a shift is underway. Agroforestry, natural farming, and climate smart crops are replacing harmful practices. Farmers are being encouraged to grow millets, bamboo, and custard apples, crops that thrive even in thirsty soils. To track progress, India is turning to tech, satellite, AI, drones, and IoT will monitor moisture, greenery, and ground health, sending alerts and guiding action in real time. And at the policy level, a bold move is rising. Land health will be woven into GDP, climate plans, and infrastructure designs because protecting the land is no longer just environmental, it's economic, human, and national. Thank you for watching Curious Academy and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.